My name is Rietta Holman. I'm the Kelp Restoration Manager for the Greater Farallones Association in partnership with the Greater Farallones National Marine Sanctuary. And I manage our Kelp Restoration Project, which is a joint initiative. And so over the past few years, we have been seeking a way to advance kelp restoration in the sanctuary. And back in 2017 is when we launched a tiny kelp restoration program that was about 1 day a week, just one person, myself, working on it. And then in 2018, the Greater Farallones Sanctuary Advisory Council initiated a kelp recovery working group. And so that brought together experts throughout the state, as well as managers, practitioners, stakeholders, and tribal representatives to come together to talk about the issue of kelp loss on the North Coast. And we've experienced a devastating loss of kelp forests in Sonoma and Mendocino County since 2014. And so this working group was really pulled together to address that issue of kelp loss and examine all current data sets and figure out what was actually causing the issue, and then methods and strategies to address kelp loss. And so coming out of those recommendations from the Sanctuary Advisory Council, the Greater Farallones Association actually put together a kelp restoration plan in 2019. It's called the Sonoma Mendocino Bull Kelp Restoration Plan. And our entire project is focused on implementing the strategies that are in that plan. And so over the past couple of years, we've been successful at several grants, both at the state and federal level, to implement kelp restoration, particularly in Sonoma County in the sanctuary. We've had a pretty strong focus on 4 sites in particular, but this year we're initiating a pilot kelp restoration project at 2 of those sites, including Fort Ross Cove and Timber Cove. So we'll be working with our local commercial urchin divers to do urchin removals at those 2 sites. And then we're collaborating with several partners, including Sonoma State University and Moss Landing Marine Labs, to work through strategies for outplanting bull kelp. So we're actually at Bodega Marine Lab right now, and we'll take a look at our cultures here in a little bit. But we are culturing bull kelp to be outplanted later this year in areas that are cleared by the urchin divers. So that's really important because we want to find the greatest success for outplanting in these areas, and that means that we need to reduce the grazing pressure. Grazing pressure meaning the purple urchins that are grazing on algae at these sites. The urchins are present in really, really high densities, and so we need to remove those urchins to allow kelp the space and breathing room to grow, and then for our outplants to be successful in the field. So our project is really focused on implementing those strategies that were developed back in 2018, and 2019. And this past year, we have garnered the support, particularly on the federal level. We received $2 million through the federal appropriations from Congress. And then we received some state funds as well from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And we are very closely partnered with Fish and Wildlife on our project, various aspects of the project. And then we also have a project that's happening down in Drake's Bay off of Marin County to test outplanting methods. And we're also, part of that project is investigating how environmental variables may influence the settlement and growth of kelp. So we have a couple of moorings set up that have a whole suite of sensors. And then we map kelp as well with drones. So we have an aerial drone that we launch from our research vessel, the RV Fulmar, in Drake's Bay, and it maps that entire area so that we capture data on kelp canopy cover. And so that project has been going since last year. We actually initiated it last spring. It's funded by the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation and the SF Bay Conservation Fund. And so the purpose of that project is to investigate those outplanting methods, how successful they might be, and how we can transfer knowledge from that project to our larger Sonoma project. between this year and next year. So we have a lot of really exciting projects happening. We also have a project funded by the Pacific States Marine Fisheries Council to protect emergent kelp growth, which means that we'll be out actually next month mapping kelp canopy at these 4 sites, which I mentioned include Fort Ross Cove, Timber Cove, Stillwater Cove, and Ocean Cove. So those are our 4 sites. We'll be mapping kelp across those sites. And then where we see kelp canopy that's reaching the surface, we will develop a dynamic kelp restoration plan where our commercial urchin divers will go out and remove urchins from those kelp patches to protect them. And then we'll also do some outplanting within those patches as well. And so that will help facilitate natural kelp recovery in addition to facilitated recovery. So we're really excited about those various pieces of the project. And then lastly, we've been further recommended by the Office of Habitat Conservation for an additional $4.9 million, which is very exciting. So if we receive that funding, we will be able to expand our 2 main restoration sites to a 3rd restoration site, and our project will extend over a period of 4 to 5 years. So we're very, very excited about that project.